Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Mystery Sports Podcast. And you know, it is the Premier League, and today is Saturday, game day. And we've got a lot of fixtures today in terms of the Premier League and throughout Sunday as well. It's quite a mixed bag. There's no really half 12 kickoff game this week. I think United's the only game which kicks off quite early, which is tomorrow, which is at 12 o'clock, because that was meant to be the half 12 kickoff game today. But obviously, with Palace being in the Europa Conference League, it gets pushed to Sunday just because you can't be playing the fixtures like that. And think in terms of the amount of games that the players do play, it is good. It's probably a better thing that they have get more games. Well, the 12 o'clock game on Sunday when you play in the Thursday, because it's not right and it's not fair. In terms of what the show is going to be based on today, it's going to be based on the Premier League, the predictions for what I think will happen throughout this weekend, um, first versus second, so Arsenal versus Chelsea, and we'll do a little bit talking on them and how I think that game's going to play out, and I think it's going to be a very intriguing game. And then the final thing we'll talk about is just the Formula One, as that is coming to a close, the penultimate race this weekend in Qatar. So let's get on to the Premier League. So today on obviously Saturday today, we've got no half 12 kickoff as I mentioned before, but we have three o'clock kickoff games, and they are Brentford versus Burnley, City versus Leeds, Sunderland versus Bournemouth. And the first game, Brentford versus Burnley, I think Brentford have easily got this win, and I think it's going to be a 3-1 victory to Brentford. I can't see I can't see Burnley really putting up a bit of a fight, and I just think in terms of what we will see from the likes of Burnley and Leeds now is relegation form, and I know they started quite well at the start of the season and things, but I just think now they're showing football and they're showing the signs that they're progressing more deeper. They're losing games consistently, and they're not scrapping points, or they're not winning like Sunderland are doing. So I think they are definitely in that relegation scrap now, and it's not like, oh yeah, if Burnley can get a win or if Leeds can get a win here, they'll probably just about stay out of that relegation scrap. But they are well and truly in it. Then the next game is Manchester City versus Leeds United, and this game could go anywhere. And I predicted 4-0 to Man City. I think Erling Haaland will get a hat trick. And in terms of what we'll see in this game, I think we will see Man City come back to their dominant performance, going up to or playing against Leeds and just dominating the ball, passing it around, clever passes from like the Fodens, Bernardo Silvas, and Haaland just on the end of those tap-ins, which, even though it's a tap-in, they're not the prettiest of goals, but that it's a goal, and a goal is a goal. At the end of the day, I don't like if a striker was like Hoyland, for example, he gets a tap in or whatever, it's still a goal. It still counts, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Every goal's the same. It doesn't mean that if you score a screamer from 40 yards, you get 3 points or 3 goals for it. It's just one goal. So, I think in terms of City, I think they will turn up to this game, and they probably will bosh the pitch. And I can only see it being 3 points to Man City, and I'm saying 4-0, but City could easily go and score six. Leeds could even get a goal. You never know. But I just see City turning up, obviously on the back of two defeats. Obviously, as a United fan, I'd want them to lose, but I just see them turning up to Leeds, who are in that relegation scrap. They're losing games consistently. They're not well driven. Well, I mean, they are well driven, but they're not like defensively sound like the Sunderlands are, for example. So I'm just thinking it's going to be a 4-0, and I don't see them getting a goal today. Then we move on to the next game, the final 3 o'clock kickoff, and that is Sunderland versus Bournemouth. This is a game where I'm like, you're looking at the fixtures today, you're like, oh, what? And you're like, there's two really big games here. Sunderland versus Bournemouth, and probably Everton versus Newcastle. And you're like, Sunderland versus Bournemouth is probably the game of the day. This game has probably got a lot of intrigue on it. I think Sunderland at the stadium and like at home are just a very good side. We know how well they did against Arsenal. They got the draw there. Bournemouth, we know how good they've been this season. They're a bit of a rough patch at the moment, but they've still. I think Semenyo is back. There was things to say that Areola, I can't even speak. The Bournemouth manager. Emilio Areola. Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah, he is basically saying that he probably will be back. He was in training and stuff. So I'm hoping from FPL that Semenyo is back. And I do think that this game will be a 1-1 draw. I think it will probably be very entertaining, despite it being a 1-1. I think Sunderland will create a vast amount of opportunity, and I think Bournemouth as well will be very creative going forward, and especially if they have Semenyo back, I think Semenyo can be a very, very influential player. And I'd love to see him at United because I think he's probably one of the best wingers in the Premier League at this moment in time. But I think that'll be 1-1. Then we move on to the half-5 kickoff game and Everton versus Newcastle. Everton at home, obviously on the back of an amazing win at Old Trafford. Um, Obviously battered United really in terms of how that game went. And then Newcastle coming into the game, obviously in the Champions League. And I think Newcastle will get the win here. I think it will be a 2-1. I think it'll be a very tight game. There's not going to be much give from both sides. I think it's just going to be that quality that Newcastle do possess in terms of like Harvey Barnes and Bruno Guimaraes. That and who else was there? Joel Linton as well. He was very influential against Marseille. I think the three players that I've just mentioned there for Newcastle will probably go and get the win there for the Toons there. And then there's an 8 o'clock kickoff game today, and that's Spurs versus Fulham. And I think Spurs, obviously, unlucky in PSG. Obviously, Vitinha, probably the best midfielder in the world, as Thomas Frank says, and I don't disagree with him. Obviously, on the back of a defeat there, and I think Fulham will lose the game. They're not very good anymore. I mean, I think they will stay up. Like they'll probably be in a relegation scrap. I think Michael Silva will sort it out eventually. But in terms of this game, Tottenham being at home, I think it's a 3-1 victory to the Tottenham Hotspur, and very comfortable in terms of how they play. But that could all change because we don't know which Tottenham will turn up, and that is the problem with Tottenham at the moment. And it's a bit like United. Which Spurs will turn up? Will it be a good Spurs or will it be a bad Spurs like against Wolves where they just about got a draw? So it's one where you're like, we don't know what's going to happen. And then on to Sunday, we have Palace versus United, and I think I'm going to do another show on that probably tomorrow or maybe tonight in terms of what I think will happen in that game. And I think it'll be a 2-1 victory to Palace. United with no Cunha, so it's just going to be a very tough game. Then we've got Villa versus Wolverhampton Wanderers, and I think even though Wolves do turn up, I think it's going to be a 3-0 victory to Villa. Forest versus Brighton, I think that's going to be a draw, and I think Sean Dyche keeps his unbeaten record still. West Ham versus Liverpool, and I'm going 2-1 West Ham. I think Liverpool on the back of another defeat again. I just think Liverpool will continue to lose, and West Ham are on the up. Nuno looking good, and Nuno's obviously he beat Liverpool last year with Nottingham Forest, so I'm going to think it's going to be a 2-1 win to West Ham. And then we go on to the main game, Arsenal versus Chelsea, and I've gone 3-2 to Arsenal. I think Arsenal will get the win away at Stamford Bridge. I think they have a lot of quality there, and I think even Chelsea do as well. And I think Chelsea will start the game very well. In terms of how I think the game will probably play out, I think it will be literally end-to-end football, constantly attacking, constantly defending. I think Arsenal win in terms of the players who they've got back, in terms of Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard's back, Murillo and Ethan Nwaneri, and even what's his name in the midfield, Rice and Zubimendi. I think they just have a lot of quality there, and I think Arsenal will just about get the victory there. That'll be the game of the weekend. Obviously, we know it is, and I hope it's the game of the season because it's just first versus second. There's a lot riding on it. Arsenal can go clear of the Premier League of second place, so that'll be amazing in terms of if you're an Arsenal fan, if you can get the win there. I think also Arsenal have got to be wary though because Chelsea are very, very good attacking wise. I think in terms of the players who they've got like Esteval, who had an amazing game against Barcelona. Garnacho, obviously, I know how good he is from United. Obviously, I don't really want him to do well, but he's a very good player. Obviously, they've still not got no Cole Palmer back, but they've still got a beautiful amount of talent there and just amazing kind of creative players in terms of who they have up front. So, and even Pedro Neto as well. We always know he's a very good against the top sides. He always has a good game against Arsenal. So it is very intriguing in terms of what could happen. I do think that Arsenal will get the win. I think it'll be a very entertaining game. And, when it comes to half four, I think everyone must tune into this game because this game probably will not define the season, but has a very strong possibility of setting the tone for the rest of the season. Coming to Christmas, you like, as we all know, whoever sits on top of the league at Christmas usually goes and win the league. So, it's kind of like what this game has a lot of riding on it. If Arsenal win, sorry, then they go clear of how many points? I think it's like they go clear of Chelsea by they go clear of them by um, yeah, they go clear by over 10 points, which is mental. So it like if that's happened, Arsenal are running away with the league, aren't they? Really, they're six clear now. So well, I've just read the wrong thing. My bad. Yeah. So if Arsenal win, sorry, they go nine clear instead of six. So nearly 10 points clear, and that's huge in terms of the league. And it's going to be a very entertaining game, and I hope it's a good game this season. Now, moving on to the F1. I mean, it's in Qatar. It's going to be another um, entertaining race in terms of what will happen. Obviously, it's a sprint weekend this weekend, and yesterday was sprint qualifying. Piastri got pole, Russell second, which was quite surprising for the Mercs. Norris third, Verstappen with P6. So it's a bit like what's happened there, and Verstappen doesn't tend to have the best sort of Qatar Grand Prix in terms of qualifying. He's qualified P6 in the last two sprints here, and even what's even more concerning, that Yuki Tsunoda got P5, and he's out qualified Verstappen, which is immense for them. Fernando Alonso for Aston Martins, and shout out to him. Obviously P4, brilliant. Lewis Hamilton though starting in the sprint P18, disgusting performance from Lewis Hamilton. I just think in terms of what happened in that entire session and with his Ferrari career so far, it's just disappointing. It's appalling really for Lewis Hamilton. And I think Fred Vasseur came out, the team principal of Ferrari, said, "Look, we want to make sure that Lewis is happy, and seeing him disappointed and upset is probably a positive thing because now we can move forward. And if he was content with how he is now, then we've got concerns." And I think that's brilliant that Lewis is showing that, and Vasseur is like, right, good. We want him. We want a pissed off Lewis something really, because that's probably the best way we're going to get out of him, and we're going to go forward and we're going to go progress. So that is obviously something to work on for the next season. Now, in terms of what will I think will happen in terms of the sprint, I think Piastri might win the sprint. There's a high chance that he does. I think Russell can have a good, solid um, sprint, but this is the first time we're actually going to see the cars going, making a somewhat of a race distance with 19 laps around the circuit. So we'll see what happens, and we don't know what could happen. Anything could happen on that first lap. Norris could jump into first, have a great start. Verstappen could have a shocking start and end up P10. We just don't know. Then obviously the sprint today gets off at 3 o'clock today, so that will be something. Not 3 o'clock, sorry, 2 o'clock today. Should be about an hour's long, so I definitely would tune into that. Then we have qualifying at 6 o'clock today, and this will set everything for the race, which starts at 4 o'clock on Sunday. And I think in terms of the race, I think Norris will win the race, and I think Norris does become world champion this weekend. And I think he'll deserve it. He's a very good driver. He's developed so much, and I'll be honest, I'm supporting Norris at this moment in time. British driver, and I hope he does everything in his power to win. And yeah, I think Verstappen and Piastri will do well this weekend. I just think Norris will have a bit more, and that kind of momentum that Norris has got, I think he just about wins it and outscores the two challengers for the World Championship. But apart from that, I hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend. I will do another video on United probably tonight, so I'll put a post on Instagram for it. Please tune into that, and if you could like and subscribe for me, catch you all in a bit.